Elias Ward arrived on Aurelia Prime on a quiet morning when the sky glowed in soft shades of silver and blue. The Celestar Empire had sent a royal escort, expecting a proud human officer or a seasoned diplomat. Instead, they saw a calm man with gentle eyes, carrying only a simple travel bag and an old sword strapped to his back. Many Celestars whispered to one another, confused about why a human had been allowed to marry their princess. Humans were considered fragile beings, peaceful but weak compared to the towering Celestar race. Some even laughed softly when Elias bowed politely to them, his posture humble and unthreatening. Princess Serenia did not laugh, but she also did not hide her disappointment. She had imagined her political husband would be strong, confident, and capable of defending himself. Instead, she saw a soft-spoken human who smiled kindly when she greeted him and seemed almost shy in her presence. She wondered if he understood the danger of this marriage. Many factions disliked the peace treaty between humans and Celestars. By marrying Serenia, Elias had stepped into a world full of high expectations and hidden threats. Still, she welcomed him with honor, offering him a place beside her in the palace. The attendants guided him to a chamber filled with floating crystal lights and woven silk tapestries. But Elias did not seem impressed by luxury. He thanked everyone warmly and carried his bag himself, refusing help. This small action confused the Celestar servants. They were used to nobles expecting others to handle everything for them. In the following days, Elias adapted quietly to palace life. He learned the layout of the halls, the customs of the Celestar court, and the responsibilities of being a royal consort. Serenia watched him from a distance, trying to understand him. He was not fearful or clumsy. He simply moved with a peaceful, steady rhythm. He spoke to others with respect, listened carefully when people talked, and avoided arguments. Whenever someone teased him for being human, he only smiled and let it pass. For Serenia, this was strange. Celestars often responded strongly to insults, defending their honor with words or energy duels. But Elias never raised his voice or fought back. He apologized even when he was not wrong. He avoided confrontation as if it was something painful for him. She assumed he had lived a quiet life on Earth, far from danger or war. She assumed he had never held a weapon with real purpose. She assumed the sword he carried was ceremonial, maybe a family heirloom, nothing more. One evening, Serenia invited Elias to walk with her through the royal crystal gardens. The glowing plants hummed softly under the starlight, filling the air with a cool, gentle breeze. Serenia usually enjoyed walking alone, but she wanted to know what kind of person her new husband truly was. She asked him simple questions about Earth, his family, and his past. Elias answered politely, but he never revealed anything too deep. When she asked about his sword, he gave only a small smile. "It is old," he said, "but it still serves its purpose." She wanted to ask what purpose that was, but before she could continue, a strange sound echoed through the garden. Serenia froze. The hum of the crystal leaves shifted into a warning tone. She lifted her hand to activate her shield, but the sound stopped as quickly as it came. "It's nothing," she muttered, trying to ignore the uneasy feeling. "Probably the wind." Elias did not look convinced. His calm eyes scanned the shadows, but he didn't comment. They continued walking until they reached a wide clearing where a fountain of light glowed in the center. The moment Serenia stepped toward it, she felt something wrong again, a strange, sharp energy hiding behind the peaceful beauty of the garden. Then she heard it. A faint metallic click. Her heart tightened. That was not a natural sound. Before she could react, shadows moved between the crystal trees. 6 armored figures emerged, wearing jagged masks and carrying illegal energy rifles. Their armor was marked with the symbol of the Warborn Rebels, an extremist group known for trying to stop the peace treaty by any means necessary. Serenia inhaled sharply. She raised her arm to form a shield, but one of the rebels fired first. A blast of red energy shot through the darkness straight toward her, but Elias stepped in front of her so quickly that Serenia barely understood what happened. She gasped, "Elias!" The rebels laughed. "Move aside, human," one said. "You are not our target." Elias did not move. Instead, he gently reached for the sword on his back. Serenia panicked. "What are you doing?" "Elias, stay behind me." They will kill you. But his voice was steady and soft, almost too calm for the situation. Please stay close to me, he said. I will handle this. Serenia blinked in confusion. Handle what? He was just a human. A harmless man with no energy abilities. What could he possibly do against trained warborn soldiers? The rebels fired again. Serenia started to form her shield. But Elias was already moving. His hand drew the sword in a smooth, quiet motion. The blade flashed like a silver line in the air. Then, something unbelievable happened. The energy blast struck the sword and bounced away, scattering harmlessly into the crystal leaves. Serenia's breath caught in her throat. Impossible. No human weapon should be able to deflect Celestar energy. Yet Elias stood there, holding his sword with perfect balance, his harmless expression gone. His eyes were focused and sharp, like a warrior who had lived his whole life waiting for this moment. His calm presence suddenly felt heavy, powerful, and dangerous. One rebel hesitated. This is not a normal human, another snarled. He's bluffing. Take the princess. They charged. Elias stepped forward, moving faster than Serenia had ever seen. His body flowed like water. His steps silent and precise. He didn't waste energy. Every swing of his sword cut through incoming blasts or knocked away weapons. He ducked, turned, and countered with movements shaped by years of discipline. Serenia stood frozen. She had never seen a human fight like this. He wasn't clumsy or overwhelmed. He wasn't panicked or scared. He fought with quiet confidence. Every movement protected her. Every step formed a barrier between her and danger. The rebels kept firing, frustrated and confused. How is he doing that? One shouted. Humans can't do this. He's cheating. No human is that fast. But Elias ignored them. His blade glowed faintly, not with Celestar energy, but with something older, something human. He struck with precision, disarming one soldier after another. He never aimed to kill. He knocked them unconscious or removed their weapons in clean, efficient motions. Serenia's pulse raced as she watched. She had always believed humans survived through diplomacy and technology, not physical strength. But Elias's presence was changing everything she thought she knew. When the last rebel lunged toward her with a hidden blade, Elias reached him in an instant. His sword locked the attacker's weapon, and with a quiet twist, he forced the rebel to drop it. The soldier fell to the ground, defeated. Silence filled the garden. Only the soft hum of the crystal leaves remained. Elias breathed slowly, steady and controlled, as if he had simply finished a long walk. Then he sheathed his sword with the same calmness he always carried. Serenia stared at him, unable to find her voice. Elias turned to her. His expression softened again, returning to the gentle, harmless look she knew. Are you hurt? He asked. She shook her head slowly. No, Elias. What was that? He didn't answer immediately. He looked at the unconscious rebels around them, then at the sky above. Finally, he said softly, there are many things humans do not show unless they must. Peace is always my first choice, but peace is protected only by those willing to stand when needed. Serenia had no words. Her heart pounded, and her thoughts spun in confusion and shock. The human she believed was harmless was not weak at all. Elias bowed his head slightly. Let's return to the palace, princess. More danger may come. Class. Let's return to the palace. Class, let's return to the palace. Flen? And he while he. Plen? Flen? Ren, let's return to the palace. Plen, let's return to the palace. Plen, let's return. As they walked back, Serenia kept glancing at him, trying to understand who he really was. The sword at his back no longer looked ceremonial. His calm smile no longer looked simple. She realized she had married someone with a hidden world inside him, one she had never imagined. And now, she wanted to know everything about that hidden world. Serenia had trouble sleeping that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Elias moving through the garden like a silent storm. deflecting energy blasts as if they were harmless sparks. She had believed humans were fragile creatures desperate to avoid conflict. But Elias fought like someone shaped by years of danger. His calm face, his steady breathing, and the way he protected her without hesitation made her chest feel tight in a way she didn't understand. The palace guards discovered the unconscious rebels soon after, and the entire Celestar court buzzed with confusion and fear. Whispers spread like wildfire. Some claimed it was impossible for a human to defeat trained warborn soldiers. Others claimed Elias must hold forbidden technology. A few believed he was secretly a weapon created by the human government. Serenia kept quiet during these discussions. She didn't know the truth either. But she knew one thing: Elias had protected her when even the Celestar guards failed. The next morning, she walked to Elias's chamber with heavy steps. She wanted answers, but she also felt strangely nervous. When she entered his room, she found him sitting on the balcony, sharpening his sword with slow, careful motions. He looked peaceful, but not in the harmless way she once assumed. Now she sensed something deeper, a strength that never needed to show itself unless forced. Elias stood when he saw her. "Princess, I hope you rested well." "Onwi?" she hesitated. "Not completely." He waited quietly, letting her take her time. She appreciated that. Celestars often rushed conversations, but Elias always listened first. Serenia approached him and finally asked, "Why didn't you tell me who you really are?" Elias lowered his gaze to the sword. His fingers brushed the blade gently before he replied, "Because I wanted to honor the peace you offered. I didn't want my past to create fear." "Fear?" she whispered. "Elias, you saved me, and I will continue to do so," he said softly. "But I never wanted you to see me as a weapon." She felt a strange warmth in her chest, mixed with confusion. "I don't see you as a weapon. I'm just trying to understand." 2. Elias finally met her eyes, and she noticed something in his expression: sadness, as if he carried a burden he never shared with anyone. He spoke slowly, choosing each word with care. "Humans look weak to other species. We have no natural energy, no special abilities, no enhanced bodies, but our history is full of struggle. Our world shaped us. Every human carries the memory of survival in their bones. Many tried to conquer us. None succeeded." Serenia listened in silence. She had studied human history, but never from a human's perspective. "When I was young," he continued, "I trained in the old martial arts. Not because I wanted to be a warrior, but because I needed discipline. Humans grow strong through discipline, not through natural power." Serenia nodded slowly. "And the sword?" He paused before answering. "It belonged to my mentor. He said a blade reflects the person who wields it. If your heart is steady, the sword will be steady. If your heart is wild, the sword becomes dangerous." She didn't know why that line touched her so deeply. Maybe because Elias himself felt like a reflection of something she had never seen before, a calm surface hiding an ocean beneath. Still, questions remained. "But how did you deflect Celestar energy?" "No human weapon should be able to do that." Elias looked away, almost ashamed. "The sword is unique. Its metal comes from a human region called the Void Basin, where our planet faced strange cosmic storms long ago. The alloy reacts differently to energy. My mentor believed humans were given that gift for a reason." Serenia stepped closer. "Why were you chosen for this marriage? Why did your leaders pick you instead of someone else?" For the first time since she met him, Elias looked uncomfortable. "Because I was the only human who could act as both warrior and diplomat. I ended conflicts without starting new ones. My people trusted me with peace." His words made something shift inside Serenia. She had always believed she was the strong one in this marriage, the one who would guide and protect the human consort. But now she realized Elias had been chosen because he carried more strength, both physical and moral, than anyone she had ever met. Before she could speak, a loud alarm echoed through the palace halls. A red glow filled the windows. Serenia's heart dropped. "Attack?" she whispered. Elias already had his sword in hand. Not yet, but something serious. They rushed into the hallway where guards ran in panic. A breathless captain approached Serenia. "Princess." The war-born rebels there was a second group hiding in the lower tunnels. They escaped before we found them. We believe they were communicating with someone inside the palace. Very. Elias's eyes narrowed. A traitor. The captain nodded. We intercepted a transmission. Their real target is the floating citadel, where tomorrow's treaty ceremony will be held. They plan to strike there, kidnap the princess, and frame the humans. Serenia felt fear twist inside her. The floating citadel was a symbol of peace. If something happened there, both races would blame each other. War would return. Elias gently touched her shoulder. "Princess, we must leave now. Staying in the palace is dangerous. If there is a traitor, they may try again." "But where would we go?" she asked. "I know a place. Somewhere safe, quiet, and far from spies." She looked at him, surprised. "You planned this earlier?" He gave a small, apologetic smile. "I planned for every possibility." Serenia wasn't sure whether to be impressed or frustrated, but she followed him anyway. They moved through servant corridors, hidden staircases, and narrow hallways lit by dim blue lights. Elias navigated them with surprising confidence, as if he had memorized the palace already. Serenia couldn't help but study him as they walked. He looked calm, but she sensed a deep urgency in the way he protected every corner, every shadow. Eventually, they entered an old storage chamber filled with unused decorations. Elias closed the door and activated a small device he carried. A holographic barrier spread across the doorway, hiding them from detection. Serenia sat on a crate, catching her breath. Elias kept watch by the door. After a moment, she asked, "Elias, were you ever afraid?" He didn't turn around. Every warrior knows fear. What matters is what they do with it. She wanted to ask more, but something in his posture stopped her. Elias wasn't just guarding the room, he was guarding her, with a level of dedication she had never seen from anyone before. A soft vibration shook the ground. Serenia almost lost her balance. Elias grabbed her arm quickly, steadying her. "That wasn't natural," he said. The castle lights flickered. The floor trembled again, stronger this time. Serenia's eyes widened. "They're here." Elias tightened his grip on her hand. It wasn't romantic. It was protective, steady, reassuring. "We will get through this," he said quietly. "How can you be sure?" "Because I am human," he answered. "And humans do not break easily." Before Serenia could respond, an explosion echoed through the palace. Walls cracked, alarms screamed, and distant voices shouted orders. The rebels had returned, stronger and bolder. Elias moved to the center of the room, placing himself between Serenia and any threat. His sword gleamed faintly, reacting to the vibrations in the air. Serenia suddenly realized something important. Elias did not see himself as her equal in this moment. He saw himself as her shield. He was ready to face whatever danger came, even if it meant risking everything. He looked over his shoulder. "Princess, stay close." She stepped behind him without hesitation. Outside the chamber, heavy footsteps approached. Voices shouted commands. The rebels were searching room by room. Serenia's heart pounded. She felt fear. But she also felt a strange trust, stronger than fear, stronger than doubt. Elias whispered, "No matter what happens, I will not let them take you." Serenia whispered back, "And I will not let you fight alone." His eyes widened slightly, surprised by her words. A small, proud smile touched his lips. The footsteps stopped right outside their door. Serenia held her breath. Elias raised his sword. The traitor's voice echoed from the hallway. "She's inside. Break it open." Serenia understood then. The next battle would test, not just Elias's sword, but the bond forming between them. And this time, she would stand with him. The footsteps outside the door stopped. Serenia felt her entire body tense as shadows moved beneath the gap of the entrance. Elias lifted his sword slowly, the blade catching the faint light of the crystals scattered around the storage chamber. His breathing was steady, his posture was calm. To Serenia, he looked like a wall, unbreakable, unmoving, and completely sure of what he was doing. A loud metallic strike hit the door. Then another. The rebels were using a force hammer to break the lock. Each hit sent dust falling from the ceiling. Serenia instinctively stepped closer to Elias, her hands trembling despite the energy gathering in her palms. She was a princess, trained in Celestar combat, yet at this moment, she felt more like a student watching a master prepare for a lesson she didn't yet understand. The final strike cracked the door open. It swung inward with a deafening sound, revealing 3 masked rebels and a figure Serenia recognized instantly: the traitor. Lord Avanar, a high-ranking member of the Royal Council, stepped inside with cold eyes and a cruel smile. "So this is where you hide," he said, staring at Serenia. "Princess, you made this far too difficult. You should have accepted your fate quietly." Elias moved half a step in front of her. "You will not touch her," Avanar laughed. "You think a human can stop us? You surprised us once. It will not happen again." Elias didn't reply. He simply shifted into his stance, holding his sword low. Serenia felt a wave of confidence radiate from him, so strong that it steadied her own heart. The rebels rushed in. Elias moved first. His blade flashed through the air, deflecting the first energy shot before it could reach Serenia. She followed instantly, raising her energy shield to block a second blast. Together, they pushed forward, the small chamber shaking from the impacts of their clash. Elias struck the nearest rebel, disarming him in a single quick motion. Serenia blasted another with controlled force, sending him crashing into a stack of old metal crates. The rebels had expected fear. Instead, they found themselves overwhelmed by 2 fighters who moved with surprising harmony. But Avanar was prepared. He activated a high-energy lance, its blade glowing with unstable power. "I tire of this," he snarled. "The princess dies now." Serenia felt the air pulse as Avanar lunged with terrifying speed. She raised her shield, but the unstable energy would overload it in seconds. Elias stepped forward, sword raised in a vertical guard. The 2 weapons clashed. The shockwave shook the entire room. Sparks exploded everywhere. Serenia cried out as she was pushed back from the force, but Elias held his ground. His feet dug into the floor. His sword absorbed the wild energy, redirecting its force like flowing water. Avanar staggered, shocked. Impossible. No human should withstand that. Elias didn't answer. He pressed forward, driving Avanar back step by step. Serenia saw something she had never seen before. A human overpowering a Celestar noble in direct combat. But more rebels flooded the room. Elias was strong, but even he couldn't fight an entire squad alone. Serenia activated her full shield, expanding it to cover Elias's side. The rebels' shots ricocheted harmlessly off the barrier. Elias glanced at her. "Princess, stay behind." "No," she said firmly, surprising even herself. "We fight together." His expression softened for a brief moment, but the battle pulled them back into motion. They coordinated without needing words. Elias countered close-range attackers, while Serenia blocked long-range fire. The rebels grew frustrated. Their plan was failing. Avanar roared in anger. "You 2 cannot stop an entire rebellion." "Avanar," Elias finally spoke, his voice calm but carrying a quiet power. "I don't need to stop a rebellion. I need to protect her." The words hit Serenia harder than any attack. She felt her chest tighten, not from fear, but from something warm and unfamiliar. She had never expected such loyalty, such devotion from someone she barely knew weeks ago. The traitor launched another furious assault. His energy lance crackled brighter, unstable from overcharging. Elias blocked and turned the attacks with precision, using the sword's strange metal to redirect the dangerous surges. But the ground shook again as explosions echoed from outside the chamber. Serenia looked toward the distant windows, eyes widening. The rebels, they're attacking the entire palace. Elias nodded. We must reach the floating citadel before the ceremony begins. If they disrupt it, both sides will blame each other. War will return. Avanar sneered. There will be war anyway. You cannot stop it. Elias met his gaze. Watch me. With a swift, powerful motion, Elias deflected the energy lance upward. The unstable weapon sparked violently. Avanar lost control. The surge exploded in the ceiling, collapsing beams and showering debris everywhere. Elias grabbed Serenia, pulling her out of the way before the collapse buried them. The rebels were knocked unconscious by the shockwave. Avanar lay trapped under debris, unable to move. He glared at Serenia with hatred. This peace is a lie. Your marriage is a weakness. You trust a human too easily. Serenia stepped forward, her voice steady. My mistake was underestimating him. Not trusting him, Elias placed a hand on her shoulder, guiding her away from the trapped traitor. We need to go. The citadel won't hold for long. They slipped out through a side door, moving through narrow servant corridors until they reached an outer balcony, overlooking the massive floating citadel in the distance. Smoke rose from several parts of the city. Emergency aircraft flew across the sky. Serenia felt her heart race. How do we get there in time? Elias pulled out a small remote device. A sleek, compact shuttle decloaked nearby, hovering quietly. It wasn't a Celestar model. It was human design. Serenia stared at him in disbelief. You hid a shuttle inside the palace? He shrugged softly. Just in case. She didn't know whether to scold him or admire his preparation, so she chose the latter in her heart. They boarded the shuttle, racing toward the citadel as alarms echoed across Aurelia Prime. When they arrived, they found the entrance under heavy attack. Palace guards struggled to hold the line. Civilians fled in panic. Elias parked the shuttle away from the conflict and drew his sword once more. Serenia activated her full energy armor. Together, they ran toward the chaos. As they entered the main hall, the rebels turned. Their commander, a towering warborn with dark crimson armor, stood at the center. He looked at Serenia with cold delight. The princess arrives. Good. Bring her to me. Before Serenia could respond, Elias stepped forward. You'll have to get through me. The rebel commander laughed. Gladly. The battle erupted. The commander charged with incredible force, sending shockwaves through the floor. Elias met the attack with his blade, sparks flying as metal clashed with reinforced armor. Serenia supported him, blocking incoming shots from the other rebels with her shield and striking when she saw openings. Elias fought like a force of nature. His movements were fluid, deadly, and full of precision. But the commander was powerful, stronger than the rebels in the garden. The hall trembled with every clash. Serenia saw an opening. She unleashed a controlled energy burst at the commander's back. It pushed him forward right into Elias's strike. Elias twisted his blade, sending the commander crashing to the floor. Silence fell across the hall. Then the remaining rebels threw down their weapons and surrendered. Serenia exhaled, her entire body shaking with relief. She looked at Elias, who stood breathing heavily but remained steady. His sword lowered slowly as he turned toward her. You're safe now, he said softly. She walked up to him, her voice trembling. Not because I was strong, but because you were. He shook his head. We both fought. Together. Her heart warmed at his words. For the first time since their marriage, she felt completely certain Elias was not just her consort. He was her partner. Later that day, the treaty ceremony continued. The council witnessed everything. They saw Elias defend the princess, protect the peace, and stand unbroken against a force meant to destroy both nations. When Serenia stood before the crowd, she took Elias's hand openly. This human, she said clearly, is not weak. He is the reason peace still exists. The hall erupted in applause. Elias lowered his head modestly, but Serenia squeezed his hand. She whispered, I thought you were harmless. but you are the bravest person I've ever known." Elias gave a gentle smile, the same calm smile she had first seen. "Peace was always my greatest goal. But for you, Princess, I will draw my sword whenever needed." Serenia felt her cheeks warm. "Then I'm glad you're my husband." Together, they faced the future not as strangers tied by politics, but as partners bound by trust, respect, and a strength neither had expected to find in the other. And from that day forward, no one in the Celestar Empire ever again looked at humans as weak, because they had seen what one human could do when he chose to protect the woman he cared for. Peace returned to Aurelia Prime slowly. Like a deep breath after a long night of fear, the floating citadel was repaired. The wounded received treatment, and the rebels who surrendered were taken into custody for questioning. But even as the Empire celebrated Elias's heroism, Serenia noticed that he did not join the cheers or accept praise easily. He stayed close to her, calm and quiet, as if the battles had left a weight on his shoulders instead of pride. She understood that feeling more than he knew. The danger had passed, but the memory of seeing him standing alone against enemies, much stronger than him, replayed in her mind again and again. She hadn't realized how much she feared losing him until she watched him fight the war-born commander with everything he had. The next morning, Serenia walked to the balcony where she expected Elias to be, sharpening his sword as usual. But he wasn't there. Instead, she found the sword resting against the railing without him. Panic sparked in her chest for a moment before she heard footsteps behind her. Elias entered the balcony, carrying 2 cups of warm Celestar nectar. "You're awake early," he said gently. "I was looking for you," she admitted, taking the cup he offered. "You always sit here at sunrise." He smiled faintly. "I thought we could share the sunrise today." They stood side by side, watching the golden glow spread across the city. The peace that surrounded them felt fragile but real. After a long silence, Serenia finally spoke the question she had carried since the battle. "Elias, will they come again?" "Yes," he answered softly without hesitation. "There will always be someone who resists peace, someone who sees fear as power." She lowered her head. "Then this peace is only temporary?" "No," he said gently. "Peace is something people fight for every day. It isn't a gift. It's a decision. And some decisions must be protected." She looked at him, surprised. "And you protect them?" "I try," he replied, sipping the warm drink. "But I don't protect peace alone. You protect it too." Serenia felt warmth rise inside her chest. A steady burn she didn't try to hide. "I protected it because I had to," she said quietly. "You protected it because you chose to." He didn't respond immediately, and she wondered if she had said too much. But when he spoke, his voice was soft. "It was never just duty, Princess." Her heartbeat quickened. She turned away slightly, unsure if he noticed. She didn't know how to answer feelings she barely understood herself. Before anything more could be said, a soft chime echoed from the doorway. Captain Lyra, Serenia's loyal guard, entered with a stiff bow. "Princess, Consort Elias, there is news from the interrogation chamber. Something you should hear." They followed Lyra to the lower levels of the citadel, where the rebels were being held. The room was dim, lit only by blue crystal lamps. One of the captured rebels sat with restraints around his wrists. His mask had been removed, revealing a young Celestar male with sharp eyes. Elias and Serenia stood before him while Lyra moved behind to oversee the questioning. Serenia began gently. "You attacked us, but you refused to take a life even when you had clear chances. Why? What do you want?" The rebel shifted uncomfortably. "We never wanted you dead." Serenia frowned. "That is not what your leader said." The rebel shook his head. "The leader you fought, not the true mastermind. He was only a pawn. Our real commander. She wanted chaos, not your death. The treaty needed to fail. Killing you would have united the humans and Celestars instead of dividing them." Elias's eyes narrowed. "Who is this commander?" The young rebel hesitated, then spoke the name that made Serenia step back in shock. Commander Velnara, the one known as the Silent Wing. Serenia felt the air leave her lungs. Velnara was one of the Empire's most dangerous strategists, thought to have disappeared years ago after betraying the throne. Lyra hissed softly. She's alive? Impossible. She is alive, the rebel whispered, and she believes the union between human and Celestar must be broken before it grows stronger. She said the longer you two are together, the harder it will be to divide the Empire. Elias folded his arms. Why does our marriage concern her? The rebel lifted his eyes, studying Elias quietly. Because of the way you fight. Because of the way she saw the princess stand beside you. You are changing things without trying. That scares people like her. Serenia felt a cold shiver. Where is she now? I don't know, the rebel admitted. But she is planning something bigger. Something that will not only break the treaty, but turn both races against each other. Lyra dismissed the rebel and turned toward Serenia. Princess, we should increase security. This threat is serious. Serenia nodded, but her eyes were on Elias. He stood silently, deep in thought. She recognized that look, the look of a man preparing for a storm. Later that day, Serenia found Elias back on the balcony, staring at the horizon. She approached quietly. You're worried about Velnara? Yes, he answered honestly. Not because of her strength, but because she thinks like a strategist. She won't attack blindly. She will aim at our weaknesses. Serenia swallowed. And what weakness does she see? 1. Elias looked at her with a soft, almost sad expression. Us. Her breath caught. You mean our marriage? Yes. His voice was steady. To her, we are not a symbol of unity. We are an opportunity to sow division. If she makes one side believe the other betrayed them, peace will collapse. Serenia stepped closer. Then we must show unity stronger than her lies. Elias hesitated. Serenia. Unity is not something forced. It must come from truth. She met his eyes. Then let the truth be this. I trust you. More than I have trusted anyone. His eyes widened, just slightly, but enough for her to notice. He looked away. Almost shy, a strange contrast to the warrior who fought fearlessly in battle. I trust you too, he said quietly. The moment stretched between them, warm and steady, but it was broken by an unexpected tremor beneath their feet. The balcony shook. At first, Serenia thought it was another minor quake, then the palace alarms erupted. Elias grabbed her hand instantly. That isn't natural. Captain Lyra's voice came through the comm line. Princess. There was a breach at the energy core beneath the citadel. Someone has infiltrated the lower levels. Serenia's breath tightened. The energy core? Why would? Elias knew immediately. The floating citadel rises because of that core. If it's damaged, it will fall. Serenia finished, horror filling her voice. Without hesitation, Elias pulled her along. We must get to the core before it collapses. Velnara is testing us. She wants chaos. We can't let her succeed. As they descended through the citadel's lower levels, the tremors grew worse. Cracks formed in the transparent floors, revealing the dizzying height above the city below. Alarms blared. Guards rushed to evacuate civilians. Serenia held onto Elias tightly as they ran. Even in the chaos, he moved with certainty, guiding her through the shaking corridors. His grip was steady, strong, and full of silent promise. They finally reached the energy chamber, a massive, glowing crystal suspended in a complex ring of machinery. Sparks flew from ruptured wires. Smoke filled the air. A shadow moved near the core. A tall Celestar woman in dark armor turned toward them, her eyes sharp and cold. Commander Velnara. Elias stepped in front of Serenia without hesitation, sword drawn. Velnara smiled faintly. So the princess brings her human shield. How touching. Serenia bristled. Why are you doing this, Velnara? You were once loyal to the throne. I am loyal to the Empire's strength. Velnara replied coldly. And you weakened it the moment you tied our future to a human. Elias lifted his sword. You will not harm her. Velnara tilted her head slightly. You think your blade can stop what is coming? Look at the core. Even if you defeat me, this citadel will fall. Serenya's heart pounded. The core was shaking violently. If it collapsed, the entire structure would crash down on the city. Elias's grip tightened. Serenya, if something happens, run. She shook her head fiercely. I'm not leaving you. Before Elias could argue, Velnara lunged. Her speed was unbelievable. Elias barely raised his sword in time. The impact sent sparks across the chamber. Serenya summoned her shield to block the debris. The battle was different from the others. Velnara fought with precision and intelligence. She targeted Elias's weak points, forcing him on the defensive. He parried each strike, but the energy core pulsed dangerously behind them. Serenya realized the truth. Velnara didn't need to win the fight. She only needed to stall them long enough for the citadel to collapse. Serenya yelled, Elias, I'll stabilize the core, hold her off. Elias's eyes widened. Serenya, it's dangerous. She didn't listen. She ran toward the machinery, activating her energy flow. Velnara snarled, No! She turned to stop Serenya, but Elias stepped in her path, sword blazing with the strange human alloy's glow. For her, he whispered. I will not fall. Their blades clashed again. Serenya reached the core, hands trembling as she channeled stabilizing energy into the ruptured conduits. The core fought against her, shaking violently. Pain shot up her arms, but she held on. Behind her, Elias and Velnara fought like two storms crashing into each other. Every strike shook the floor. Serenya pushed harder, her energy sinking with the core's frequency. Just a little more. A scream echoed. She turned. Elias had struck Velnara's weapon aside. With a final push, he disarmed her. She fell to the ground, defeated, but alive. Serenya completed the stabilization. The chamber calmed. The tremors stopped. Elias rushed to her side, catching her as she nearly collapsed. You did it, he said softly. We did it, she corrected, leaning against him. Velnara glared weakly. This peace will end. Elias shook his head. Not while we stand together. Later, when the citadel was secure and Velnara taken into custody, Serenya and Elias stood alone on the balcony again. The sun was setting this time, painting the sky in deep gold. Serenya looked at him with soft, honest eyes. Elias, I don't want to fight beside you. Only out of duty. He held her gaze, his voice gentle. Then why do you fight with me? She stepped closer, her voice barely a whisper. Because I want to. Because I trust you. Because you are no longer just my husband by treaty. Elias's breath caught. She took his hand. You are the one I choose. For the first time, Elias allowed himself to smile fully, warm, real, and unguarded. And I choose you, Serenya. Peace had not come easily. But together, they would protect it. And together, they would face whatever came next.